Hello friends, Molly Ponpadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal this year is to highlight 1,000 community builders and champions of change. And today we have Ellen and Michael Erickson with us. Thank you so much for being a part of our global initiative.
Thank you, Molly. We're excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's begin by sharing with our audience again who you are, what you're doing in the world right now, and where you're dialing in from.
All right, sounds good. So currently we are in the future and we are calling from Bali, Indonesia right now. We are travel writers. We have our own blog called Brown Flip Flops. We left our jobs 5 months ago in Washington, D.C., where we hail from. We bid adieu to our friends, our family, and again, our jobs. But we had some careful planning and we saved a lot of money in order to do this. And the plan is to travel the world together as newlyweds in order to enrich our own lives and have a better understanding of the world around us. So just a little bit about us. We have both have international development backgrounds. For the past 9 years, we spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears developing our career and acumen in international development. We actually most recently worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, in Washington, D.C., and then before that, Deloitte. Where we worked and partnered with foreign aid organizations like Millennium Challenge Corporation, Peace Corps, State Department, World Bank, what else? United Nations, and then USAID, to name a few. Maybe I named all of them. So, you know, we've got a great grasp of headquarters work with those foreign aid organizations, and we'd now like to pivot our careers into the field. And after a year of travel and after having a better understanding of the world and enriching our own perspective, we want to land jobs in the field, either in South Asia or Africa. So.
That's great. That's great. Do you have anything that you'd like to add, Michael, and the experiences so far, having been out there for 5 months traveling together?
Yeah, so like Ellen said, we've been traveling around, learning about different cultures. In this case, so far mostly in Asia, which can be very different. Going through the culture shock, learning from other people, teaching them a little bit about ourselves and our culture, and just kind of creating a better global empathy, amongst the different cultures. And like Ellen said, we're tracking all of this in our blog, brownflipflops.com. And the hope is at the end that through our travels, through our learning from other people, we will be better development professionals when we finally, at the end of this trip, land some development jobs in the field, either in Asia or Africa, as we've been working in headquarters and supporting organizations kind of at their home base so far. We want to get just a little bit closer to the impact.
Exactly. It's like getting another piece of that puzzle so that we have a more holistic picture.
Wow. Well, I commend you for doing that. I think it's really neat to be introduced to the two of you who made this decision to really have a different vantage point for the work that you do, to really understand how policies and how the decisions we make in this particular field that you're in can impact the actual person at the very end of that rope, right? That string that ties it all together. I think it's really neat, and I'm going to look forward to reading your blog as well. So I, again, really appreciate that. One of the things that we like to focus on this particular interview series is also anecdotes and stories, because we believe that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that you can have to spread information and share knowledge. So if you can think of any anecdotes or experiences that either of you or both of you have either witnessed or experienced personally, where compassion and love and empathy has really shifted the way in which you think and how you live your life today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, even before this trip started, that we're currently on, a huge pivoting and turning point for me was my time serving in Peace Corps in Honduras, where I lived for 2 years, working in developing community and helping them with different various development projects at the local level. And just the compassion and kindness that the community, showed me and gave me, welcomed me into the community with open arms, really helped me get through my 2 years there, and really helped, kind of get the development projects off the ground, and to be more effective, helped to, towards my building trust in the community, and, helped me to communicate better by learning Spanish. And, it certainly felt like a type of situation in which the community, didn't have to be so kind or so compassionate or so welcoming, but they certainly went way out of their way to welcome me, and make sure that I was able to have a great experience living in their community, very far away from home.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I would just say that experience is kind of what led me to thinking about going into international development, and having us, eventually go on the trip and on the path that we're on now. Previously, I was going to go to law school, or, do something, some other crazy stuff. But from that experience, I realized that, as individuals, as change makers, we can have an impact, and we can, put our careers towards that.
Yeah, that's really neat this is the first time in the storytelling that I've heard you say that compassion and love came from an entire community. So that was a nice little perspective to hear there. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ellen?
I unfortunately wasn't able to do anything like Peace Corps. I can only imagine how enriching an experience like that is. I had a small, experience at Deloitte. It was a pro bono project, a social impact project, where I had the fortune to work alongside a nonprofit that operated in Guatemala. And their specific purpose was to help Mayan artisans in Guatemala. These are women who were very poor and didn't have any means for financial independence or to make their own living. And so the nonprofit was working with these women to build their capacity, whether it was helping them to create goods to sell to market. How do you create them? How do you package them? How do you sell them to market? And then we also worked with the nonprofit to help them better serve the women. So how do we build the capacity of the nonprofit? So it's kind of like a consulting pro bono project that I did with Deloitte, working with the nonprofit and also with the women. We also had a very cool experience where we built clean air cook stoves for the women in this community, in their households, so that the effect was that they would have freed up time from cooking, from being in the kitchen, to actually create the goods, go to market, sell them, or just spend more time with their family, which is very important for the strength and health of the family unit. So, the experience of working with the nonprofit and the women and building their capacity, as well as building a clean air cook stove, multiple clean air cook stoves for this community, was so enriching and gave me a taste of the development work that I really want to do full time. So that was my experience.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, our experience over the last few years working in consulting and gaining those kind of management consulting skills from Big Four firms is, I think going to be a great toolkit and set of skills that we can then apply to foreign aid organizations and development organizations in the field, and to help strengthen those organizations, like Ellen did with the one she was working with in Guatemala.
Because oftentimes these nonprofits might not have the budget or the resources to train people. And so sometimes these folks are going in without the training and knowledge to, appropriately or adequately serve the people they're supposed to work with or help. And so as Mike was saying, with Deloitte and PwC, you're given a lot of training that's transferable to multiple different industries and sectors, like project management, like monitoring and evaluation, like business process improvement. Those are skills we have that we can offer myriad nonprofits.
That's fantastic. Well, in your travels and also in the work that you have done in the past, when you come upon community builders and change agents or agents of change, what are some of the overarching attributes common threads that you've experienced and witnessed when you think of those types of community builders?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few characteristics that come to mind. I mean, empathy is a big one, right? Mental and physical fortitude. I think oftentimes the work of a change agent might not be the easiest. So I think that you have to be both mentally and physically strong. Persistence, resolve, courage, compassion is huge. That's come up a few times in our interview so far. A person that embodies this to me is Malala Yousafzai. She's not someone I know personally, unfortunately, but I'm sure you know her, Molly. And she is just someone who embodies all of these traits. And as a woman from Pakistan myself, I was born there. This is a very clear champion and change agent for me.
Very neat. Very neat. Well, now how are you utilizing your life lessons, your experiences? And, we can talk more about the journey that you're on today, or perhaps some other causes or nonprofits, excuse me, that you want to focus on with this. How are you utilizing your skills, your talents, your life lessons to empower others, to advance your community, to create positive change as you define it?
You want to start with that one?
Well, through our experience, like we said, of learning about different cultures, and then through our website and our Instagram and our social media, we are trying to show kind of what some of these communities look like in a different light, beyond just the normal Instagram pictures of Bali or something. You kind of trying to go a couple inches deeper. What makes a community like Bali unique? Why is the culture here so rich? What can we learn from them? And then just for our future kind of work that we desire to do in the field in international development, I know I'm more personally interested in kind of economic empowerment and local community development, because not just from my time in Peace Corps and working with them, but philosophically, and I did end up going to grad school in Georgetown for international development as well. And so you kind of create your own philosophy of development. And I certainly agree with the kind of planners or the searchers, and instead of planning side of development, where one should go to these communities, ask them what they need, and help them to build, as Ellen said, build their capacity, deliver their own change, and kind of empower them and enable them, to be change agents as well, instead of just kind of coming in and dropping off some resources and kind of saying, best of luck to you. So, and when we're talking about economic development, from an economic standpoint, those with little resources are the best economists, and because they really have to make choices with the limited options that they have. And I think instead of again going to these communities and telling them you should invest in this or that, healthcare or education or whatever, I think it's better to try and help build their capacity, build their opportunities, and build their economy so they can make those decisions at a household level themselves.
And make it more sustainable.
Yeah, I think that is key, the word sustainable. I think that is key. And I think that's where the challenge and the opportunities lie, right? Like you said, not just dropping off the resources, but really making sure that they can sustain their own lifestyle once we're able to build that foundation for them. That's fantastic. Okay. So, as you're traveling, I'm sure you're picking up a lot of knowledge, learning new philosophies, perhaps. When things do get tough, and being newlyweds and traveling the world together, day in, day out, every day together, I'm sure there's some challenging moments, perhaps not. But is there a quote or philosophy or motto that either of you or both of you really live by and tap into?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's so cliche.
I like it though. It is cliche, but I like it because it's so true.
Well, no, bringing it full circle, you know, I had mentioned we're not readily right now making an impact in a community. We're not doing development work right now as we speak, but we intend to in a few months after our around the world tour. And we want to enrich our lives first and our perspectives to some degree before we go in the field, to sort of prepare ourselves, better educate ourselves, but also educate others around us. And so I think there's one quote that truly captures that, and it's from Nelson Mandela. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. And so that really resonates with us and what we're trying to do right now.
It's really beautiful. I have a question that I did not include in your list. What would a better world look like through your eyes?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question, because there's so much swimming around in my head right now, because we've seen so much at one time. You know, in 5 months, we've traveled to 6 countries so far and seen different contexts and environments.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, again, at the crux of what we're trying to do, again, serve as a bridge between cultures. I think a better world would be one in which we all, you know, kind of have more knowledge of each other, and so we're less ignorant of each other, and that we also kind of have more empathy and respect for each other's cultures and differences. You know, as Ellen said, we've been traveling around, we've seen a lot of, you know, different people, a lot of different cultures, but at the end of the day, really, on planet Earth, as humans, we're all the same, you know, and we have a lot more similarities than differences. And I think even for ourselves, like Ellen said, now, you know, as tourists traveling around, you know, to maybe try and be a little bit more active as a tourist instead of passive, you know, try and, you know, really learn about the cultures of places that you're going to, instead of, you know, just going to a place, you know, going to the beach and then getting out of there with, you know, some photos. You know, really try and learn about the place, teach them about you. I mean, we've even been surprised ourselves. It's a little sad to say, you know, how little a lot of people know about the United States, you know, or their knowledge is just from popular culture, watching movies. And so, you know, so we have a responsibility to kind of educate them on the diversity of the United States and the strengths, you know, of our culture, and then to learn about the strengths of theirs, and then again, for us to take the knowledge of their culture and then educate our fellow Americans, so they can have a better, broader understanding of different people and different cultures, and what positive lessons we can learn from each other.
Yeah, cultural respect, empathy, awareness. Yeah, that'll make the world a better place.
Well, thank you for sharing your perspective and traveling the globe, because some of us cannot do that right now. And so we appreciate that we can live vicariously through to people who are trying to, again, capture a different vantage point or different vantage points as you travel the globe, and share culture, belief systems, philosophies, etc. with us all. Can you let our audience know how they can connect with you and follow your blog, and perhaps even contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our travel blog is called Brown Flip Flops, like the shoe. So you can type that in the search bar, www.brownflipflops.com. And we have a website there, and we also have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So just simply type in Brown Flip Flops and you'll find us.
Great. Thank you both for taking the time. I know that it's evening over there in Bali. Enjoy it, and safe travels to Sri Lanka. Appreciate that you're a part of our global initiative to highlight some cool folks doing great things to try and create positive change in our world. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank
really
you, Molly.
Appreciate it.
For those that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in and following us as we highlight these beautiful souls. And we want you to know that we are very much interested in you nominating yourself. Don't forget to nominate yourself, or others in your community who are making a difference. Please learn more at nebula.soar, that's SOAR, communitynetwork.com. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you real soon. Take care.